puck. And now stolen away, back by Harrington. He drives it right side, center shot, and he scores! Chase Harrington with 17:35 left in overtime. Preston fires a shot,
What a great start to the Western Conference Finals, boys.
Yes. Portland too?
Yeah, exactly. It feels so good beating those guys.
Can't ask for anything better.
Yeah.
Maybe could have asked for some better play last night in some situations, but I mean, I'm not going to complain about being up 2-0.
No.
The cardiac kids, I've seen a lot of people kind of dub the Chiefs as the cardiac kids in this postseason, and it's I mean, they sure like to make it interesting for sure. I mean, scoring 10 goals on them in the first game and then another barn burner in game 2 and ended with a 6-5 final, but just some interesting play in the first game specifically. I mean, I certainly didn't expect 5-3 after the first period against Portland in the Western Conference Finals. I mean,
yeah.
What?
No. Yeah, that was something.
Defense is optional in this series.
So far. Yeah.
Seems to be.
Which is troublesome, but
as long as we can outscore them, I mean, whatever,
Yeah.
But like, you know, we were just talking before we started recording about, you know, if we make it to the next round, it looks like it's probably going to be Medicine Hat. I'm scared, dude. I don't know if our defense can stop them.
No, either team. I don't think Portland can stop them either. If Portland happens to win this series.
Yeah, exactly.
No. But that would be a good problem to have. So
for sure,
we can talk about that if the time comes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, let's not get too ahead of ourselves here. We still got a long way to go here against Portland. I mean, obviously being up 2-0 is huge. We got the next 3 games down there, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So they're going to have full barns down there, and their crowd's going to be rowdy and everything too. And while I'm on the topic of rowdy Portland fans, I got into a discussion on Twitter today with Portland fans that somebody posted a tweet last night and said that a few Spokane fans treated their friends like shit all night because they were at the game cheering for Portland, giving them dirty looks and all this stuff too. So after a while, I did a little bit of digging and going back and forth. This clown blocked me. So then I went, did a little digging and found the so-called friend that was being harassed, and no context provided whatsoever, first of all. So we kind of had to pry that out. And the only thing that was being said was that a bunch of Spokane fans kept looking at them and calling them losers when they were losing the game. So if you're that fragile, you shouldn't be watching hockey. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say that right now.
No, but let me say this about that. If you're that fragile, you're obviously a Portland Winterhawk fan.
Yeah, no shit. A bunch of, I mean, and like I said, I don't like I used to, get in those arguments constantly with other teams' fans and everything too online, just talk shit, but it's not worth the time anymore for me personally, unless it's Portland. Their fans are just way too fun to rile up. I can't help myself.
They are. And you know what? To call them losers when they're losing a game is accurate. And if they win a game, you can't call them losers. But you know what you can always call Portland? Cheaters.
Yeah, exactly. So just get that out of the way now. So shout out to those two clowns. And we will get into game 1 of the shit kicking so far in this series.
Yeah,
there was
game 1.
There was actually a Portland fan sitting next to me last night. They were pleasant.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There was one sitting behind me and over a couple of seats. I mean, no issues at all.
Yeah.
I
Anyway.
even, I don't have a problem with other teams' fans coming in and cheering for their team. That's fine.
No.
Like I don't care, and I feel like a lot of other people don't really care either. So
it's not like the old days when I was a teenager going to Chiefs games. Portland was in town. There used to be fights in the bathrooms all the time.
Oh, I believe it.
Oh yeah,
I believe it. Yeah,
it was
it
was a nightly
Portland
thing.
wouldn't survive that.
Yeah.
Anyway, this might be a rated R episode. So going into game one, Chiefs get the home ice advantage against Portland. And, we had success in the regular season against Portland, specifically on home ice. We swept them all 3 games. We played them on home ice this year. So obviously a little bit of I don't want to say an advantage because it's a completely different season now, but a little bit of a more positive mindset going in, knowing that you beat them 3 times on your home ice this year and everything. And the Chiefs came out really, really strong. First 2 minutes, they could pick up a couple of goals. Berkeley Catton getting his 8th of the playoffs 30 seconds into the game. I mean, just a great way to start. Like a little bit of a weak goal given up by Stebatak too. After all the talk about him just being stellar throughout these first 2 series for Portland, the first 2 goals that he led in were kind of ones that I think he'd want back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. And what about us taking a lead for a change in the game?
Yeah, that was definitely a positive sign. A lead.
Yes, it was.
That we didn't end up losing at all in that game too.
Yeah.
Kind of
we're not coming from behind for a change.
It's a big starting point, and that was a thing that we struggled with in the first 2 rounds quite a bit, specifically in that Victoria series too.
Yeah.
I think that maybe they finally are starting to kind of adjust a little bit and learning from that. Then again, I say that we gave up the first goal last night, but
power play.
It was a power play for sure. I mean, I think you can kind of, anyway, we'll get to that, but
yeah.
Catton gets his 8th of the playoffs, 34 seconds into the game. And then 2 minutes later, Sammy Oremba posting up in the slot. Catton had a nice little forecheck going behind the net and picked the puck off of the defender and found him wide open in front for a similar shot to Catton's. I mean, it went over to that same spot in the high blocker side. The Chiefs must have, found something early there where he goes down a lot. And you noticed that last night too. You noticed that Stebatak goes down quite a bit. Like he goes down really early. And so the Chiefs seem to take advantage of that pretty early on and off to a great start. 2-0 in game one here, 3 minutes in. Tyson Jugnoth would answer for Portland, though. 6-minute mark of the first period to cut back within 1. But the Chiefs would answer very quickly with a nice effort play by Chase Harrington. Just never gave up on the play and battled it to the net and ended up finding its way through to give the Chiefs a 3-1 lead. I mean, so much scoring here in the first period. Looking at this stat sheet right now, I really didn't expect it. I mean, after the first 10 minutes, there's 6 goals scored.
Yeah, like Boiler said in the postgame show, it was a track meet.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, I'm glad that the Chiefs, came out on top of that track meet in the first period specifically. Yeah. But seeing some good secondary scoring too. I mean, Sammy Oremba, Chase Harrington, Sonali Sarkinov getting that goal late in the first period too. Portland did end up getting 3 goals in the first as well from Zakreski and Buttazzoni, but Shea Van Olm getting his 10th goal of the playoffs as well. So the Chiefs take a 5-3 lead into the first intermission. And I mean, at that point, I did not know, what the final score was going to be, because if it kept up at that rate, it was going to be like, 20-10.
Yeah.
I think crazy. we were all looking at each other like, oh, that's how this is going to be.
Yeah.
And thankfully, it wasn't like that.
Right.
Yeah.
At least for Portland. For us, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
loving the offensive output, not liking the defensive breakdowns in our end yet again.
Yeah, and that was the big issue with their first 2 or 3 goals. I mean, it's things that are avoidable that we could easily just make the simple play, chip the puck out, get it out. But we just, sometimes for whatever reason, we just can't seem to get the puck out of our own end. And it always ends up biting us in the butt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's coming. The other team's going to score on it when it happens.
Yeah, 100%. They see the other teams are really good at taking advantage of that stuff.
Yeah.
And they've seemed to kind of scout the Chiefs pretty well in that regard. They're good at making them, forcing them to make those plays. And it's just, it's little things like that that just can't happen in the playoffs. But thankfully, our top line and our secondary scoring have all been coming through pretty consistently so far in the playoffs too.
Yeah, it's the Andrew Crystal rule. I said that once we got him in the trade. We're just going to outscore you.
Yeah, exactly. You did. You said he's just going to outscore. I'm still going to say that we needed to pick up a defenseman.
Yep.
But at this point, you can't go back now. So
yep.
Kind of ride with what you got. Let's see here. So I wanted to ask your guys' opinion on the first period officiating. I mean, I know we kind of don't want to, blame the refs for, certain things in the game, but I feel like specifically in this first period, it was pretty bad.
I can't blame them for anything because it didn't affect the outcome of the game, in my opinion, but they were terrible. And I told you at the end of the second period, I said, these guys will not be back for game 2. The league will make sure that they're not reffing it because it was horrible.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, seeing Catton take a shot right in front of the referee at the blue line to the head, no call, things like that too. Just blatant things.
Yeah, exactly.
Follow through with a high stick on a clearing pass. They called the high stick. Bench is arguing for them to go look at it because that's not a penalty. They wouldn't even go look at it. That kind of stuff. It was ridiculous. But again, it didn't affect the outcome of the game. So I can't blame them for anything. It was just terrible.
Right. And, granted, the Chiefs did take a couple of undisciplined penalties early in the first period too that I think that were avoidable. But at the same time, I feel like that they were kind of picking on some certain Spokane players that have that sort of reputation a little bit too. And that kind of came back to bite us a little bit because Portland did get they did get a power play goal midway through the second period on that 5-on-3.
But that was their only power play goal.
Exactly. That was
yeah.
It says they were 2. Yeah, they were 1 for 6. Yeah.
Well, we haven't even talked about that power play though, and what caused it. Like I think we were all in agreement that when Van Olm took matters into his own hands after Catton got drilled and slashed the shit out of, I don't even remember who it was all of a sudden. But I mean,
either.
where he took it too far was when he he already took the slash, got the first penalty, and then chased the guy down the ice and broke his stick over his back on a cross check to get another penalty to make it a 4-minute minor. But I mean, we were all, I think, basically the entire arena was on Van Olm's side there.
100%.
Like
everybody except for Brad Lauer.
Yeah, besides Brad Lauer. Like when he got back to the bench after the penalty was over, it looked like they had some words and they did not come to an agreement that satisfied either of them.
Right.
But and yes, like he did cause a goal. Thankfully Sarkinov, and we'll get to it, but thankfully Sarkinov scored that shorty before they scored the goal, so it essentially was a wash.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, he came to the defense of his captain who got hosed by the refs who took a pretty brutal hit in open ice.
Yeah,
and
it opened up his stitches again.
Yeah, we're very fortunate that Catton's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that Van Olm was willing to do that for him, whether Brad Lauer liked it or not, again, I think he was probably more mad about the second penalty
for sure
than the first. Like, hey man, like you got your point across when you slashed the shit out of him.
Yeah.
You didn't need to chase him down the ice and break your stick over him. But anyway, you can get back to the breakdown.
I agree. That's a justified penalty to take, especially, Van Olm looked back and saw there was nothing called, and then he went after the guy. The guy wouldn't drop the gloves. So he said, all right, fuck you. I'm going to slash the shit out of you.
Yeah. And I didn't even talk about that. He tried to get him to fight him and the guy wouldn't do it. So I mean, you gotta do something. A high hit on your captain like that, especially one that goes uncalled. You gotta let them know that that's not gonna fly. Like if they're not gonna call a penalty on it, you're gonna get hurt from it. Yeah, and the Chiefs were hurting them all night. I mean,
for sure.
Chad, you commented on it a couple times. Portland was playing scared. They thought every time they picked up a puck, they were gonna get drilled because more often than not, they were.
Yeah,
and
no doubt.
It didn't carry over as much into night 2, but like we were bullying the Winterhawks.
They were scared. They were 100%.
Yeah. And if slashing and breaking a stick over a guy is going to contribute to that,
so be it.
And again, we had a big lead. So like if that was the time to take a penalty like that. Yeah. If it was tied or if we were trailing, absolutely not. But anyway.
No, I agree. And like I said, I think that the first penalty definitely justified. He was pretty pissed off, so he went after him and broke his stick over him with the cross check to get him the other penalty. But then, we're already down for 4 minutes, Van Olm. Our penalty kill has been pretty good so far in the first 2 games in this series too, which is another good sign. But that follow through on the clearing attempt from Rask that clipped the Portland guy up high, it was pretty obvious, like right away when the stick hit him, that it was on the follow through of the clearing attempt, and the ref's hand went up right away. And I'm just like, you can't call that, because we've seen it where our guy would get high sticked early in the playoffs. Our guy would get high sticked on a follow through of a shot or a clearing attempt or something, and they'll go back and look at it and nothing happens.
Yeah,
and there's no penalty. So I don't understand why that same standard isn't being held for teams playing against us. That's when I went and made that meme that made all those Portland fans all pissy on Twitter.
Yeah. I don't think it's so much that they feel like it was going against us. I think it was a case of those actual officials personally that were officiating that game that just think that they're never wrong.
Yeah.
It's the attitude and the air of arrogance that they have, that they're not going to go look at it because they're not wrong. Yeah. I don't think it's anything personal. I think it could have happened the other way around. We could have had it on a, Portland guy could have followed through and they would have called it and not looked at it too. I just think it's those particular officials personally.
It's a chicken shit move. And the other chicken shit move that they made was coaches are trying to talk to him after the period's over and they just skate right off and ignore him. I mean, that's just Bush League.
No, that's just a sign that you were wrong.
Exactly. And like you said, they have completely different officials in game 2, and we had 4 completely new refs that we didn't have in the previous game. So, but yeah, so on that 5-on-3 penalty kill, right? Actually, I think the shorty happened before Ekstrom took that penalty.
Yes, it did.
Yep.
But
happened on the 5-on-4.
What a great hustle by Starkey to get that puck up the boards and then just kind of outwheel everybody down the ice and just find that perfect shot over the through the pads there.
He is. If I had to build a hockey player in my head, it's him. Everything he does, and this just gets deep. And I mean, and he scored 4 goals in 2 games against Portland, and so far I would say he's been the MVP of the team in this series,
100%.
Just with everything he does, all of the intangibles, everything. I have nothing but good things to say about him, and the more that I watch him, and the more comfortable he gets in the North American game, I cannot wait to see his name get called during the draft, because whoever drafts him, they're getting one hell of a hockey player. I mean, I don't know if he's a guy that will make the NHL like surefire thing, but with his intangibles and the way he plays the game and with the brain that he has, I mean, he'll find a team. He'll stick around somewhere.
Yeah.
And he's just a joy to watch.
Yeah, he is.
And even when he's not scoring goals, it's just he does everything the right way.
All the little things.
Yeah, and for a power forward, the side. I mean, he could be a defenseman very easily.
Oh yeah.
But he plays power forward and he's dominant. Like the difference that the other team, whoever we're playing, the difference that they play when he's on the ice, it is so noticeable that it's almost like they see him hop off the bench and then they change the way they play because they know that he's coming for them.
Yeah.
I mean, he's such a pleasure to watch.
You see that 6'4" monster coming at you. I'd want to get off the ice too.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Well, and the hands and the wheels, and he never gives up. He's always forechecking. He's always back checking. Plays 200 feet. Nasty shot. I mean,
yeah, no doubt.
Goes to the net.
What's not to love?
He goes to the net so hard too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree. He's been a hell of a addition to the team this year, and I think we still have his signing rights or whatever for next year and the year after as well if he were to come back. And I think that with the success that the team's had this year and how well that he has played, got progressively better too throughout the year, I don't see why he wouldn't want to come back.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, I agree. I think with his play in these last couple of rounds here too, it's really bumping up his draft stock, and he's gonna get noticed by more and more teams too, which is a great sign for him and for the Chiefs getting that publicity too.
Yeah, for a guy like him, a deep playoff run like this is perfect because the less teams there are for the scouts to watch, the more scouts are at the game.
Yeah,
right.
And with the way, I mean, he's performing at the right time for his future career, and for this team. So, nothing but good things to say about.
Not only that, but like, you have scouts watching. Having less teams to watch, but those kinds of players that he is, those power forward, gritty guys that do all the little things correct, those are the most important pieces to have on a team that's making a push for a championship. And scouts will notice that too. I mean, that's something that those guys that aren't necessarily 40 50 goal scorers that'll go out and do all the little things and get in the dirty areas and do all that stuff. Watch some of the NHL teams in the playoffs right now. Some of those key guys that are having the biggest effect on the series and everything too are those gritty power forward grinder type players. And they're just as important as the 50 goal scorers.
He's the Pat Maroon archetype.
Exactly. A great shorty from him there halfway through. That put the Chiefs back up 8-3. On that 5-on-3 power play, Diogo Botazzoni would get his 11th of the playoffs to cut Portland's deficit to within 4. 8-4 after the second period. Still feeling pretty good. I didn't have that same feeling that I had against Vancouver and Victoria with the big lead.
No,
I wasn't as nervous going into that third period. I was a little bit surprised that I wasn't, but something just felt different.
I think they talked about their first intermission. I felt like our defense improved drastically in the second period. We didn't make those same mistakes we did in the first.
Yeah, exactly. Third period, great to see, the fourth line getting a little bit more action too. They kind of swapped through the second, third, fourths mostly in that third period. Brody Gillespie getting his first career WHL playoff goal on a nice little deflection out front 3 minutes into the third to make it a 9-4 game. And then Chiefs would get a power play about halfway through the third period, and Owen Martin would bang home his third of the playoffs to give us the 10 spot on the night. And that was all the scoring, but just a complete, barring the first couple of minutes in the first period where we gave up 2 or 3 goals, a complete game from these guys. And a hell of a way to start the Western Conference final against, I would consider Portland a bigger rival than Tri-City personally.
Me too. Just because of history.
Yeah. So, that's probably the best case scenario that we had, and it worked out that way. So just a great start. What were your guys' overall thoughts on game one?
Well, like TC said, for me, it was the physicality and more than anything, they were scared. Yeah. We outmuscled them, outplayed them, obviously outscored them. But I think it all is linked to the physicality, which we have not seen a game like that where we played like that for a full 60 minutes this year.
Yeah,
it was nice to see.
Completely broke their will. It was all gas, no brakes from puck drop, which is refreshing because we've been complaining basically since the playoffs started that they start games sluggishly, and it hasn't bit them too bad yet. But this was the first time since game 4 against Victoria where we led throughout.
Right.
Which was refreshing. So I have no complaints. It was just belt to ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that game was just belt to ass, BTA, and gotta love it. But we all knew that you pull that in game 1, you're going to get a spirited effort from the team that you just went BTA on the next night. And I think it's safe to say that that was the case last night.
Yeah, but for sure. And the other thing is I don't think it really caught us by surprise either. I think we knew that going in, but when a team is playing desperate and they want to get that split in the first two games on the road, they're going to be playing with that, desperation and extra physicality and everything. And they came out and outplayed us in the first period, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were clearly the better team, and they went into the first intermission in game two with a 2-1 lead. Started off early too. A unnecessary penalty taken by the Chiefs less than a minute into the game puts Portland on the power play, and Diego Bottazzoni would score his 12th goal of the playoffs 2 minutes in. So Portland's got an early lead, and I'm just like, man, why? Let's not go back to this, now after what you did in game one. I mean, getting the first couple of goals, a huge momentum boost as opposed to giving up the first goal 2 minutes in on the penalty kill. I mean, it's just it can't happen. It is unnecessary penalty, but Asanali Sarkinov staying hot and getting his 5th goal of the playoffs on a greasy net front scramble. He fired the shot in and then went behind the goalie right there. And a lot of people were saying that, they were looking at it for goaltender interference, and they did look at it.
I don't think they were sure what they were looking at. I think they were looking for the kick.
And my argument was I think the puck was going in either way.
It was.
Yeah. But it did hit off of his skate.
And that's what I wonder. I saw the highlight of that today from a different angle, and I thought, I wonder if that's what they were looking at more than interference was the kick.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what Portland was begging for. I don't know if you noticed, but their captain, as they begged the refs to look at the goal after they had already called it a goal twice, was making he was making a kicking motion.
Oh,
with
was he?
his skate.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, that's what the Portland captain was arguing about with the ref, and then finally, because apparently they can beg and complain and get what they want. Granted, different
officials, yes,
different crew, but they can apparently beg and bitch about what they feel is slighting them, and they get what they want. But puck don't lie, because we got the same goal called a good goal 3 times.
Yeah,
yeah, it's true.
They called it a goal on the ice. They called it a goal after they talked about it, and then Portland complained, and then they reviewed it for a very uncomfortably long amount of time, and then they called it a goal again. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I mean, nice to get back to a tied game there right after Portland took the lead early. Obviously, give us a little bit of a momentum boost there to get the crowd going a little bit again. Unfortunately, wouldn't last too long. It's about 4 minutes later, Josh Zakreski would score. Just an unfortunate bounce right there, too.
Yeah.
But Bottazzoni came into the zone and fired one off of the defenseman. Or actually, I think he fired it off of Zakreski, and it went just right at his feet, and he had the wide open tap in. I mean, that's just an unfortunate bounce, but that kind of stuff happens too, and you just got to find a way to battle back from it. That was all the scoring in the first period, though. Portland taking a 2-1 lead going into the first intermission.
And Portland out shooting us that first period too.
Yeah, they did. Oh, only by 1, actually. We caught up toward the end. It was like 11-5 at one point.
It was like 3 minutes left. Yeah.
And it ended up being 11-10. We kind of started to pour it on, but Stebatak was on his game more last night for sure.
A little bit.
Obviously, after getting pulled in the first 10 minutes of game one, after giving up those 3 or 4 goals, coming back to kind of reclaim his spot as their top goalie in the playoffs. I mean, he's been great.
Yeah.
He had like a 9-1 save percentage coming into the series. So, thankfully, Andrew Crystal would get his first of the night, 15th goal of the playoffs, 5 minutes into the second period. Just a kind of a seeing eye shot from the point that found its way through everybody and right into the back of the net for his first goal of the night. He continues to prove that this was the trade that needed to happen for this team. And Boyle said it perfectly on the post-game show last night. I don't know if you guys were listening to any of that at all, but he said it perfectly after the Crystal interview. He said, if the Chiefs don't make this trade for Andrew Crystal, I don't see the Chiefs in the spot that they're in right now.
No.
And there's no doubt about that in my mind either.
Yeah, if we don't trade for him, assuming everything else plays out the same way, we don't have the defense to outscore these teams the way that we've been outscoring them. I think we get through Vancouver. We lose to Victoria without Crystal.
I agree, 100%. And another thing, while we're on the topic of Crystal, I saw a tweet earlier today that I thought was kind of crazy, and this potential to happen for multiple players on our team. Andrew Crystal and Berkeley Catton each have 33 points in the WHL playoffs. The WHL record for one postseason is 53 points. As for goals, Crystal is currently at 17 through 12 games, and the WHL record is 24, which Crystal is on pace to pass.
Wow.
So some interesting little stats there. I could definitely see him surpassing that goal total for sure.
Possibly.
Something extra to root for.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, he's a really special player for sure.
Can you believe the Caps drafted him in the second round?
I know. And can you believe he didn't make Team Canada's World Junior team?
Well, you can talk to any Canadian about that, and they'll probably sit down with a textbook and lecture you to death about it. Because as Team USA went belt to ass on Team Canada twice in the World Juniors, that was pretty much every Canadian. It's like, where's Crystal? Where's Crystal?
I still see posts on when the WHL posts a Crystal highlight. I still see comments under that. This guy surely made the Team Canada World Junior roster. So funny. So funny. Anyway, get back into it. That Crystal goal would be answered really quickly after, about a minute and a half later, by Ryan Miller scoring his third goal of the year. Not the former Buffalo Sabres goaltender, by the way, just in case you guys were curious. Speaking of goaltenders, though, Stebatak did get an assist on that play, so he gets on the board offensively as well. Andrew Crystal would get a second goal of the night on the power play. Beautiful feed from Berkeley Catton behind the net. I mean, there was probably this much room to get that puck through, and Catton found it perfectly, and it landed right on Crystal's tape, and he somehow found a way to bury it top shelf, get his second of the night, and tie the game back up at 3. So tied game at 3 going into the third period. I was waiting to see if we were going to get that 6th hat trick of the playoffs, and you told me it would happen.
I did. I told you. You said, I hope he gets his hat trick, and I said he will.
And it happened early on again. And what did TC? What did you?
A line change, mind you.
Yes, that's true. What did you turn and tell me after that?
It's the same thing I talked about with Victoria in Game 6. Scoring the hat trick goal in the beginning of the third period in a close game. I'm not going to say it's the worst thing that can happen, but so far I'm 2 for 2. It's not good because it slows the game down. It's a distraction. I don't know to what extent the coaches are telling the boys like, hey, like keep locked in, but it's hard. Like, you see the hats hit the ice, everyone's excited, it's loud. You look up at the scoreboard and you realize it says 18:56 remaining. And it's a 1-goal game. The difference between that and the Victoria game was that it actually, at the time, made it a 2-goal game, and then we would eventually make it a 2-goal game in this game. So it's not the same necessarily, because we did come back out and score again to make it a 2-goal game. But I don't like the early hat trick goal, and it keeps it keeps happening. And I don't want to say it's leading to them losing these leads, but it definitely, I think it's taken everyone out of the game.
Yeah, well, it for sure takes them out of the game, no doubt. Because I mean, look how long it took them to clean up those hats. There was
a lot of hats,
freaking hats out there last night, and they actually had to bring out like a cart, and people were bringing out like shovels and stuff to clean them all up. And
they had to go get. There were so many hats that they had to. The people that came out to pick them up had to go back off the ice to go grab the trash cans.
Yeah.
And so it took even longer to clear the ice,
which maybe actually helped a little bit. It kind of calmed us back down, like you were talking about, with the potential excitement of the hat trick.
Well, and on top of that, though, I will say that I had that concern too with, once the crowd kind of calmed down after the goal, it's like, guys, like, play hasn't even started yet. But as soon as they went for the faceoff, the crowd erupted again, which I think definitely
that was pretty cool
too.
Yeah.
And so shout out to the Chiefs fans that have been coming out to these games, though. I mean, the attendance has gotten better and better every game.
Yeah.
They took down or put up the curtain behind us. So we have just like our half section open there in 205, 206. They took all that up because they were filling those seats up. So hats off to the Chiefs fans too. Getting the boys back into it after that delay there, but um, that was early on in the third period. The Chiefs got a 4-3 lead. Asanoly Sarkinov with a snipe for his sixth goal of the playoffs, his second goal of the night. Turns out to be a huge goal halfway through the third period to give us a 5-3 lead.
What a great little play at the blue line too.
Yeah, I mean, a great breakout pass from Shetler up the boards, found Martin right there at the blue line, and he baited his way in with the puck and dropped it to Sarky, who had that wide open lane cut into the middle, and he just found the perfect spot and fired it home for his sixth of the playoffs. So 10 and a half to go in the third. We're up 5-3. Portland's not going to go down that easy. We know that they never have.
Do you know what? And I commented to you. Do you know what I found kind of, I don't want to say shocking, but surprising? We switched up those lines there in the second to try to get something. Sarky scores on a different line. Crystal was scoring on a different line to get his hat trick goal. Things are going good. We went back to the same lines again halfway through the third period, and then we know what happened at that point. I even told you at that point, I said, look, this happened after we went back to the top line together again.
So I didn't notice that.
Yeah, so what had happened there actually was they were in the process of changing lines. They were switching to the top line, and Crystal stayed out there for extra time because right off of that face-off, Preston came out for Crystal. Okay. But I did notice that too, because I noticed that those three were out there. But I think what happened was they were just in the process of switching lines, and Crystal either couldn't get off the ice or just didn't come off the ice. But nonetheless,
I stand corrected then.
Nonetheless, it led to Portland's fourth goal. Just kind of a again another seeing eye shot that was just a simple wrister from the far circle, and Cowan was screened, couldn't see anything, and didn't even know it was in until it was already behind him.
Yeah, in full speed, I thought that was a bad goal. I think I said that to you. It looked like that was one he should have had. I went back and watched it again, and he had like a flyby screen, like as the puck was coming at him, the Portland player like cut right in front of his path, and the puck just buzzed by his head because he never saw it.
It was a perfect shot. It's just one of those things that's just going to happen.
They go in sometimes.
Yeah, Portland seems to get those kinds of bounces and shots more so than anybody I've ever seen. But I'm just going to go ahead and say that Mike Johnson has something to do with that too, cheater.
I saw him wandering around in game 1, 2 in the concourse. I wish I would have gone and just talked to him and told him how much of a fan I am. Not.
Well, I asked him if he had a cell phone for me. I said it loud enough so
you did say it loud enough for him to hear, but yeah.
And while we're on the topic, I'll just bring this up really quick. When I was working on Saturday, working downtown, I had a couple of deliveries off of Riverside, and I noticed a group of about 20-25 guys all wearing the same gray sweatshirt walking down Riverside. And I went up and kind of drove by and looked, and it's a Winterhawks hockey sweatshirt. So it's like they were just like taking like a walk around downtown Spokane, trying to get the legs going and stuff too. So I pulled around the corner and went around the block. And I said, drove by him again, rolled down my window and asked if they had a dime for me because I heard they like giving up things in tens. And then I just drove off.
Very nice.
I know I don't think everybody heard me, but I know a couple of the players definitely heard me because I said it as I was like right next to him. But anyway, that's just another little fun tidbit.
That's a good one.
That takes me back to my days as Esmeralda when the Portland broadcasters back when we played them in 2011. Now that I think about it, we're playing golf at Ezzy that day before the game, and they were sitting in the restaurant having a hamburger after they played golf, and I just got on the intercom and just started chanting in a whispery voice, "Go Chiefs, go! Go Chiefs, go!"
Love it.
Forgot all about that.
I forgot about that too.
If memory serves me correctly, that series did not end very well for us.
No, it didn't.
So that's some PTSD I have. Yeah.
I will forever hate Brennan Leipzig for that series.
Yeah, but he was really good at drinking water out of our goalie's water bottle.
That's true. You still have that thing laying around somewhere?
I have it. Yeah, it's in my cupboard.
That's funny. I forgot somebody sent us that when we were running WHL memes.
WHL memes. Yeah, they did.
So anyway, Portland gets that goal, 12 minutes to go in or 12 minutes into the third period to make it a 5-4 game. 2.5 minutes later, Chiefs just really struggling defensively all of a sudden too. It's like they just kind of forgot how to play defense completely. Portland started kind of skating circles around us and found their open shots left and right. And finally, Kyle Chrzowski pounds home a one-timer to tie the game up with 5.5 to go in the third period. I was pissed. I was like, dude, I don't want to sit here through 2, 3 overtimes again. I mean, we played ball hockey all day. I'm sore. I want to go home and play video games and go to bed. But unfortunately, the Chiefs and Portland didn't end up scoring anymore the rest of regulation, so we would be going to overtime. Overall, through regulation, what were your guys' thoughts like compared to game one? Obviously, a little bit different circumstances for sure, but what were your guys like overall thoughts on the team? Like who stood out to you other than like Crystal and Sarky? I mean, I could think of a handful of players that I think had great games that didn't produce anything offensively.
Sage Weinstein.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. He was great. He's been great all playoffs.
Yeah. I don't know. I was pretty irritated that they let that lead slip away the way that they did. Just it felt like, I mean, again, you didn't know how the overtime was going to go, so you kind of go into this overtime thinking to yourself, like, damn it, if they drop this one, then you have to look back on it as it's now a 1-1 series, and you look back on this as a missed opportunity. We had a 2-goal lead, and you let it slip away relatively easily. Like they didn't have to work all that hard to tie it. Fortunately, things went well in the overtime, so we don't have to have that discussion. But I think offensively, great. Defense, meh. Like they're leaving a lot to be desired, except for a handful of guys like Mays and Weinstein. Not going to name names, but there's some guys that I think could be playing better defense. And this isn't just limited to defensemen. This is also forwards too. I think they're letting themselves get lazy, and they're making lazy plays. Especially, you talked about this earlier. We've had this issue all playoffs of getting pucks out, and that trend is continuing. Where I don't know how many times we're going to have the puck on our stick, whoever, doesn't matter who, behind our net, and it doesn't take a lot to find a way to get that puck out, and they just like wimpily shoot it around the boards. Portland player skates over, cuts it off, turnover.
Yeah.
That's been a big issue I'd like to see get cleaned up, and that actually led to, I think, at least 2 Portland goals in this game, not being able to get pucks out. So that was my takeaway from the regulation. Again, the offense is nothing but impressive. They feel like at times they can just score at will. Like,
they throw almost anything on net and it goes in.
Yeah, they go out there and they're like, oh yeah, we need a goal, or we need 2 goals, and they just do it, and that's awesome. Sometimes it feels like it goes the other way though, and the other team can score at will.
Yeah.
My takeaway, and I even told you at the end of the second or middle of the second period, I said I don't feel like Portland came out with as big of a push as I expected, but we let them do whatever they wanted to do for the whole game.
Yeah.
That was the way I felt the game was.
We took some really bad penalties in this game. Really bad discipline.
I expected Portland to push harder, and they didn't. We just let them do what they wanted to do and needed to do.
Yeah, no doubt.
I thought Gillespie had another great game. Talking about people that did, I thought Martin had a great game.
Martin was great. I thought Martin showed a lot of hustle last night.
I thought Aremba had a fantastic game again. That whole second line, if we could get guys to play a 200-foot game like that whole second line between Rass and Sarky, those guys play 200 feet all the time. We need everybody to do that.
Yeah. And you know what? I'll say even the top line has been pretty good about the 200-foot game lately. I mean,
Crystal of the three, in my opinion.
And Burke, obviously, he's the leader, and he goes out and leads by example too, and he does all the right things. Shea he's a warrior too. So
All the little things.
I think I would like to see. I think they all do it. I just think I'd like to see them do it all consistently because I feel like it's not consistent. That's the thing. Other than that second line, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen Ras take a shift off.
Nope.
No.
I mean, that dude has absolute wheels.
And I feel like Sam's the same way.
Yeah, no doubt.
That guy plays hard. He knows what it takes.
Yeah, well, he's been there before.
Exactly, for sure. And I thought Harry had a good game too. He was getting beat up. He was getting pounded because he laid a lot of bodies in game one. I felt like they were getting back at him a little bit in game two.
Yeah, and, I noticed that too.
And stuff too. So he actually fought through that.
We also had a couple injury scares there at the end of the third.
Yeah. So Catton went down with I didn't even really see what happened because the play
I didn't either.
Guys, he had taken a hit and then he I saw him skate off and then went right back into the locker room, but he was like bent over. Like I couldn't tell if he was like holding his wrist or if it was like a leg or what, but we saw him kind of wandering around in the tunnel down there, kind of peeking on, checking on time and everything too, and went back out back into the locker room with about a minute left in the third. But thankfully he came out in the ice first shift to overtime, so that was reassuring. And then Crystal had a scary looking thing there at the end of the period as well, where he went off the ice holding like kind of his hamstring area back here.
I hate to see that. You never want to see that.
That was terrifying. He stayed on the bench though, and he didn't play any more in the third period, but he was out there in overtime and looked fine. Boyle was talking to him on the radio, and he said that he took somebody took a stick and kind of speared him or something back there.
Dead legged him.
Yeah, exactly.
Dead legged him.
Exactly. Yeah. So thankfully those guys are all okay. And Sarkey had a little bit of an injury there late in the third period as well.
Like his wrist or something.
Yeah. He came back out pretty quickly too. So that was good to see. You were talking about Chase Harrington. I agree. I think, he had a good game. He was getting beat up out there quite a bit. But that's another guy that I don't think takes a lot of shifts off either. And he busts his ass and he's gotten better and better every game this year too. And it paid off for him in overtime. Thank God it didn't go into 2 or 3 overtimes. It was 2 minutes into the first overtime. Just a really good on the forecheck, cut the pass off from the Portland defender at the blue line and walked around everybody and sniped it short side on step attack to give the Chiefs a 6-5 win and a huge 2-0 series lead going into Portland for the next 3. So I said it. I wanted to win both games at home, and let's take at least one in Portland. At least.
If this is going to come back, it's got to be 3-2 Chiefs.
Exactly.
Yeah, it can't be 3-2 Portland.
Portland's done this. Portland went down 2-0 to Everett.
Yeah, exactly what they did to Everett.
But I'm going to say this. I think the Chiefs are a more complete team than Everett is. I think the Chiefs have more depth than Everett does. And I think the Chiefs are just a better overall structured team than Everett is too. And I think that if they can find a way to buckle down and get at least one win down in Portland, if not 2 and win the series, then we're gonna be looking good.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. So a huge win for the Chiefs. One other note that I wanted to add on, we were talking about, the poor officiating in game 1. Hell of a lot better with the new crew in game 2. We took that unnecessary penalty a minute into the game. The Chiefs got 1 power play or 2 power plays in the second period, but halfway through another tripping penalty, and then Portland got caught with the too many men. Those are the only penalties all game. I mean, just definitely a playoff feel from the officiating crew too. They let a lot of stuff go, and
refs calling hockey in the playoffs the way they should call it. What a novel concept! What a novel concept! It's been so hard for WHL ref or crews to grasp, not just in our series. I've been seeing this league wide. Everyone's refs this, refs that, refs this, and saying how Bush League the officiating is. And I mean, I get it. It's the Western Hockey League for these refs too. Some of them are trying to work their way up to get to the upper levels of hockey.
For sure.
I don't understand why it's so hard for some of these crews to put the whistle away or to pick their spots of when they're going to call penalties in bunches. I don't know if you're going to call everything, you got to call in a playoff game. You got to call it from the second the game starts.
100%.
You can't do this one period I'm going to call everything, and then the second period I'm going to throw the whistle away, and then the third period I'm going to call everything again. Like that. But yeah, no, the guys last night were, you know, Guzzo with some workman-like linesman, linesmaning, I guess.
Yeah.
As
I haven't
always.
seen him in a while either. So it was, I made the comment to you last night, Dad. I was like, I talk a lot of shit about Guzzo just because we see him all the time, but I think he's one of the better linesmen in the West.
Me
for
too.
Sure. I mean,
Me too.
He guy's been around forever. He came up with Del Campo, and before that there was Tony Leonetti and stuff like that. So he's been around those veteran guys that ref their entire officiating career in the WHL. So no, I definitely feel better when he's doing it as opposed to somebody that we see maybe 2-3 times a year.
Me too.
But
well, and he's a local guy too. So
yeah, exactly.
You like to see that. Same thing with Del Campo. I mean, was reffing Chiefs games all the time, and it's because he lived here.
Yeah, exactly.
So and I mean, he was reffing youth hockey all the time too.
Exactly.
So you like to see things like that.
Yeah. Guzzo did one of my games in high school.
I remember that.
Oh.
So that's all we got recap wise. Obviously, there's just those 2 games. We have 3 big games. Well, 2, potentially 3 big games coming up this week. Some Chiefs getting some praise from the WHL today, though. Andrew Crystal being named the WHL Player of the Week.
I like it.
His 4th time being recognized with the award this year.
That's crazy.
3 games. He had 5 goals and 4 assists for 9 points in the 3 games the Chiefs played in the last week.
Is that good?
I think that might be pretty good.
Yes, yeah. It's not bad.
And then another fun one here. Rookie of the week going to our boy Sonali Sarkinov.
My boy.
4 goals and an assist in 3 games. He's been a workhorse for the Chiefs in these first 2 games and all playoff long, really. But I mean, he's just been. We talked about him earlier, but he's just been lights out good for these guys.
Yeah, he has, and very, very impressive. And the guy's versatile. Obviously, he can play on any line out on the team, and he's done that throughout the course of the season.
Landis Cogs in here throwing rights on people in a net front scramble. I love it.
Similarly to how you talked about, are we in this position without trading for Crystal? You could also say the same thing. Are we up 2-0 on Portland without Sarky?
Exactly.
I don't know if we are.
I don't know either.
Exactly. Well, he's got the 5 points in these last 3 games, and looking at this, he has 6 goals, including 2 game winners and 5 assists for the 11 points in 13 playoff games already this year. And I think he's another guy who just throughout the year just got progressively better and better and better. And I think, obviously going to play for Kazakhstan in the World Juniors, they're not really a hockey hotbed over there, but he was one of the standouts on that team for sure. And I think that experience for him playing against those really good international teams really kind of made him step up his game a little bit too. Because I feel like once he came back from World Juniors, he was a completely different player.
Yeah, he was.
And so that was great to see, and ranked 217th amongst all North American skaters by NHL Central Scouting. So
it's a steal. I am Kyle Davidson. If you're out there, please, I am begging you.
Dude, that would so sick.
Bring him to Chicago.
He would fit in so well too.
Well, and frankly, the Hawks need a guy like him.
Yeah, no doubt. Especially with Maroon retiring too.
Yeah, majority of the young core at this point is all like little speedsters. So,
yep. Yeah, no, I agree. That would be great. I would love to see.
Any team could use a guy like him, but
as long as he doesn't go to Toronto, Boston, or Pittsburgh, I'm chilling. Anyway, so my last piece of news that I have that I was going to read out here was the WHL announcing the rules for the expansion draft for Penticton next year. It's been a long time since we've seen an expansion draft in the WHL. I believe it was the Edmonton Oil Kings in the 07-08 season. That was the last time that we had an expansion draft. So I think the rules have changed a little bit from that time for sure. But so the on Tuesday actually is when the expansion draft, or is when they are permitted to protect players, WHL teams. you can either protect 16 players aged 17 to 20 appearing on the 50-player injured, suspended, graduate, special import, and 20-year-old list, plus an additional 6 players appearing on their college list, or B, 14 players aged 17 to 19, not 7, 17 to 19, and 3 20-year-old players appearing on their 50-player roster, and then an additional 6 on the college list as well. 16-year-olds born in 2009 are completely exempt from all WHL clubs. And I'm not really sure why they had to throw this information in here, but the 2 WHL players appearing on pro hockey lists, Connor Bedard and Zach Benson, are also exempt. I don't know why they had to throw that on there. I didn't think anybody would be taking them,
Interesting.
But
Connor Bedard, Penticton V. Let's go. Let's go.
Dude, wouldn't that be so funny if they could do that though? The 2 clubs that advancing to the WHL Championship Series will receive an accommodation as follows. The club that loses the WHL Championship Series must submit their protected list to the WHL office by 12 p.m. Mountain Time on the second day after elimination, which would be Wednesday, May 21st at the latest. Penticton will have 24 hours from receipt of the protected list to notify the WHL office and club of the player selected. And the WHL champion must submit their lists by 12 p.m. on the second day after elimination from the Memorial Cup, which is Tuesday, June 3rd at the latest. So, should the WHL Conference Championships extend to a Game 7 with the deciding game on May 6th, the losing clubs will submit their protected list to the office by 12 p.m. on the same date as the team that loses the WHL Championship Series. So, lots of little things here and there saying that Penticton will be added to the BC division and there will be no other changes to the WHL standings alignment. So some fun stuff there. It's going to be interesting to see another team in the league next year. It's been a while.
How many did you say they take from each team? 2?
1, I think. Because they have the picks in the draft and everything too, and the US players. And
I'd be really worried about losing like a Owen Martin type player.
I think he'll be a guy that will protect.
Think so?
Yeah. A couple of guys that I've talked to and I kind of can see happening would be a guy like Coco Armstrong or a Cam Parr.
Yeah. Yeah, just
guys like that. I obviously we're gonna have to wait and see what the Chiefs end up doing. Hopefully we don't find out for a while. Hopefully we're still playing for another month. But yeah, I mean, when push comes to shove, if we lose a guy like that, it's obviously gonna suck. Losing a guy like Coco, who is one of our best forecheckers, in my opinion, the best forechecker in the league. And then if we lose a guy like Cam Parr, it's not gonna eliminate all of our toughness. That's another thing that I'd worry about. But obviously, all speculation. It's just kind of chatter that I've had with buddies and stuff too, just about interesting guesses. But yeah, it's coming up here pretty quick. A lot of expansion draft and the Bantam draft's coming up here in a couple of weeks too. And
I heard rumor too, and I don't remember where I saw it. It's probably on Twitter. If it's on the internet, it's true. I heard something about them possibly going to 3 import players per team next year.
Yeah, I saw that as well. I think with the new NCAA rule, and there's going to be some players that are jumping ship from CHL to NCAA and vice versa. Yeah, that him being one, and Caden Lindstrom, the other guy from Medicine Hat too.
And I also heard something today, again on Twitter. This one I was on Twitter, that all the talks at the U18 tournament is going on now too. There's like a lot of those guys are going to be headed south, is what it said, basically to the NCAA, and the CHL is going to be shook up by the number of guys that are talking about it.
Yeah,
that's all going to be interesting when this all happens.
Yeah, for sure. I was a little bit nervous when I read that, actually.
Me too. The way it was worded is like, oh man.
I know.
What are you going to do?
But either way, I think it's all going to work out because you're going to have a number of guys coming from, southern U.S. states like, California, Arizona, stuff like that are going to come to play in the WHL.
You're just going to get a different mix in both cases, a different mix in the NCAA and a different mix here too. It's going to make both leagues or both whatever you want. I guess you don't call them leagues or whatever. Just going to make them better.
I think it's just going to be more freedom for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what's needed to be done for a long time.
Yeah.
But obviously we haven't seen too much of an effect with anything. Like we've seen some players signing here and there and doing jumping ship, but I think we'll really see a lot of that in the offseason and into next year.
How's Mike Johnson going to exploit this situation?
Lots of cell phones and plane tickets.
Okay, that's what I figured. Maybe video games in this day and age.
Yeah,
everybody gets an Xbox.
There you go. There you go.
I mean, I don't know. I'm a college hockey fan, so granted the school that I root for probably isn't going to be taking in too many WHLers because of academic restrictions, or not restrictions, academic requirements. The fact that you can now draft 14-year-old American kids and not be afraid they're going to jump ship to Boston College before ever signing with you.
Yeah.
Even if they only play for you for a year or two, I still feel that's a net positive because at least you are getting something out of that player.
Yep.
Even if only for a short period of time before they decide to go to school.
And you're not wasting that draft pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm also hoping that there will be a trickle down. This will probably take a while, but like the Pac-12, for example, it has hockey, but it's all club, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
It's like D2, D3 club hockey.
Mm-hmm.
They don't, it's not serious. I'm hoping that with an influx of more talent, influx of more players, more local with the WHL US division teams, that you'll see a Wazoo and a UW and an Oregon and whatever other local colleges start to maybe invest more in college hockey and try to be like in Arizona State and just sort of buy their way into Division I college hockey. I feel that a lot of people that don't know about college hockey out west are missing out because it is great. And if you're limiting yourself to only watching the NHL and juniors, there's a tier in the middle that a lot of people are missing out on just because, and that's not by no fault to people in out west at all, because it's predominantly a Northeast and Midwestern thing.
Mm-hmm.
Hence,
but it's growing.
But it is growing, and you see like schools like Arizona State, and then obviously Denver is a powerhouse, and the North Dakota schools are powerhouses.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping long term this might take decades, but it would be cool to see the Pac-12 schools invest more in hockey.
Yeah,
and try to maybe have some sort of pipeline coming out of the U.S. division of, okay, well, you played for the Spokane Chiefs for 3 years. Come down to Oregon and be a Duck.
Yeah.
I think that would be cool.
For sure. And we see a lot of that with other sports too, with like college. Like, you have a lot of guys that, I don't know, for example, the one that comes up off the top of my head, the Groves kids that played at played basketball at Shadle.
Yeah.
Went to Eastern for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden after an NCAA tournament appearance, they're the ones off to Oklahoma or wherever he played for a couple of years too. I mean, it's that trickle down effect of like local teams, Shadle to Eastern, and then doing that. That's kind of the one thing that comes up. And then if we're talking hockey, I feel like college hockey is for sure growing out west too. And I feel like the further down the line this goes with more players, being born in California, going to play in these top tier junior leagues, they're going to go down and play potential new powerhouse schools out west. I mean, I could see there being a couple in California in the next few years too.
I think USC is in the process.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate USC. I hate everything about that school. But I mean, if I was a 16, 17-year-old kid looking to play serious hockey, you can do a lot worse than the University of Southern California.
For sure. No doubt.
A lot of reasons. Do the math.
Doubt. Yeah, no kidding. And then there's, the lower tiered clubs like out at Eastern, they have a sick rink out there.
Yeah.
I mean, that rink is sick. I mean, it's not big by any means, but it's a beautiful rink.
Well,
it is.
And Eastern plays in the same division as Oregon and UW. Yeah, they all play in that same like Pac-9, Pac-10, whatever they call it, hockey. where it's like it's ACHA accredited hockey, but it's club, so it's not scholarshiped. But someday maybe.
I could see it. I mean, Eastern's held tournaments out there before and stuff. Like,
yeah,
for sure down the road. I mean, like you said, 10, 15, 20 years down the line, maybe you could see some sort of effect on that down the entire West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
So
and
just
you've already seen the Chiefs partner with the URC over at Eastern quite a bit.
Yeah.
So there is a relationship there. Not that would potentially correlate with like a player pipeline, but especially because I think Eastern would have a little bit more to do than Oregon or UW would to get to the point that like the big time college hockey programs are at.
For sure.
Purely just on arena sizing. I mean, it's a good rink, but half of it doesn't have seats.
Right.
So, a lot of potential there if they wanted to remodel it or whatever, if they wanted to go down that route. But also they can't keep that football team together either. So Eastern has their own issues that go beyond college hockey.
Well, not to mention the fact that they're in Cheney, which is a shithole town too. But
it probably wouldn't work there very well.
It's kind of like the Everett of the Inland Empire.
Yeah, no kidding. But lots of exciting stuff in junior hockey and lots to look forward to over the next couple decades, in all honesty. Gonna be fun times. The Chiefs are headed down to Portland for the next 3 games. We feeling good about it?
Yep.
I am too.
Yeah, I really do feel that if a week from today we're sitting in our seats at the arena, I think we'll be up 3-2, looking to close them out. I don't see us laying a complete egg in Portland.
No.
It's going to be hard to go down there and close them out. Obviously, they're going to battle their ass off to ensure that they drag the Chiefs back to Spokane with them.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love to sit here and say that I think we're going to close them out in Portland. I don't think I'm quite there yet.
I'm not either.
I said that this would go 7. I'm now leaning 6. I don't know. I don't know if I see us going down there and winning 2 games. It would be great. I would love that. But I think I'm at 6. I think we come back to Spokane up 3-2 and we put them away a week from today.
I would love to see them give us the Western Conference Championship on home ice. I will say that. I would love to see that.
Yeah. And that's another thing too. It's been cool. We've closed out 2 series at home.
Yeah.
And that always feels good. Not that I want to be like up against it in that way. Like if we can put them away in 4 or 5,
100%.
That would be incredible. But yeah, it would be really cool for the fans to see like this isn't banner raising worthy unless you're the Portland Winterhawks. They do have a Western Conference Championship banner.
So does Everett.
So yeah, I wouldn't say that this is banner worthy, but it still would be really cool for the fans to be like, holy shit, like we won the West, we're going to the finals.
Yeah, exactly.
At home. But again, if you can close them out in 4 or 5, just do it.
100%.
Don't give them any life. I'm not there yet. Like I said,
I'm not either, and I think I'll form my opinion about that after game 3.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, we'll know after game 3. We'll have a better idea for sure.
Yeah. But that's my takeaway from it, and I think we're going to go down there with, a 2-0 lead and just hope that we come out strong and don't get complacent and lazy with knowing that we're up 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the biggest key is a hot start, and
we didn't let them take home ice from us.
Exactly.
Yep. That was huge.
Yeah, that was exactly what we needed to do. We needed to win both at home and just not let Portland get back into it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I got, boys. You guys got anything else?
How you feeling after a day of ball hockey yesterday, Elliot?
Not as sore today.
No.
You?
I feel okay.
Yeah.
I feel fun.
All right. Yeah.
It was fun.
I stayed nice and hydrated today, so
that's good. Some of the boys follow the podcast, so shout out to them for letting an old guy like me come down and play yesterday. It was fun.
Yeah, it was. TC, you got to get down with us sometime.
Anything to get your lazy ass off the couch, Elliot.
No kidding. Tell me about it.
He played longer than I did. He did good.
This couch sucks.
Yeah, no, I'd love to. I just got to find the time. It's hard for kids.
Yeah.
It's hard enough to get to the gym. So,
yeah, I think we're going to start playing here at like 4 or 5 p.m. on Saturdays. So, I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out something down the line.
But that sounds like a good time.
But all right, boys. Till next week. Hopefully, we'll be celebrating a Western Conference championship.
Sounds good. Go Chiefs, go.
That'd be great.
Go Chiefs, go.
Yeah, go Chiefs, go.